The silence in the hallway was quiet. Too quiet, Ana de Armas stood alone near the backstage curtain, her eyes fixed on the floor. The light from the makeup room flickered behind her, but she didn't go in. She just stood there, staring. At her shoes, black leather, polished yesterday, but now there was a smudge. It's just a small one. Not enough for anyone else to notice, but for her, it meant everything. She felt small in that moment. Not because of the shoes, not because of the smudge, but because of what had happened just a few minutes earlier. Inside the rehearsal room, someone had laughed. Not a joke laugh, a sharp one, directed at her. She didn't know who it was, or maybe she did, but she didn't want to turn around and face them. She had missed a line, just one line, and she had apologized. She even smiled and made a joke about needing more coffee. But the room didn't laugh with her. They just moved on, Ana had felt. The chill in that silence, it wasn't about the line. It wasn't even about the scene. It was something else, something unspoken, something that had been building. She didn't belong, not fully. Not to them, not to that space. Maybe it was because English wasn't her first language. Or maybe because she didn't come from the same world they came from. Maybe it was just that she was quiet, too polite, too kind, and in a place where people measured strength by how loud they could speak. Her softness became invisible. She stepped back from the doorway. Her heart was heavy, but she didn't cry. She didn't allow herself to. Not here. Not now. Instead, she leaned against the cold wall and looked down at her shoes again. And then, without a sound, she saw a shadow move in front of her. She didn't need to look up to know who it was. It was Keanu. He always walked quietly, not because he was trying to sneak up on people, but because he didn't like to disturb anyone's space. He stood beside her, but didn't speak. For a moment, it just stood there, both silent. Ana tried to smile, to pretend like everything was fine. She wiped at the smudge with her sleeve. "Don't do that?" Keanu said softly. His voice wasn't sharp. It was gentle. Like he knew exactly what she was feeling. Ana looked up at him. "It's nothing," she said, but Keanu didn't answer. Instead, he crouched down, and then with both hands he gently lifted her foot, not roughly, not awkwardly, just enough to support it tanned with the sleeve of his own shirt. He began to clean the smudge off her shoe. Ana froze. She didn't understand what he was doing. "Keanu," she whispered. "You don't have to," but he just shook his head. "I know," he said. "That's why I want to." His words felt like warmth. In her chest, no one had ever done something like this for her before. Not because the gesture was grand, but because it was so simple, so human, so respectful. He stood up after a moment. His shirt now stained with the dirt that had once been on her shoe. Ana looked at him with wide eyes. She wanted to say something, but she couldn't find the words, so he spoke again. "I've been where you are," he said, standing in the hallway, "thinking no one sees you." Ana felt her throat tighten. "I see you," he added. "Doing great, even if they don't say it." Those words opened a crack in her heart, the kind that lets the light in. She hadn't expected kindness that day. Not from anyone, and especially not from him. Keanu Reeves, the man the world respected. The man who could have stayed in the spotlight. But instead he stood beside her in the shadows. "Thank you," she whispered. He smiled gently. "Come on," he said. "You've got a scene to steal." And with that, he walked with her back into the room. But this time, she wasn't looking down at her shoes. She was looking straight ahead, and she walked like she belonged. The whispers behind the curtain when Ana stepped back into the rehearsal room beside Keanu. Everything felt different. Not because the people inside had changed, not because the energy of the room had shifted, but because something inside her had. For the first time that day, she walked without shrinking. Her shoulders were still trembling a little, but she held her head up, and more importantly, she didn't look at her shoes anymore. The director, a man named Elliot, raised his head as they entered. He looked at Keanu, then at Ana, then back. At his notes, his face didn't show much, but Ana saw something in his eyes. Confusion? Surprise? She wasn't sure. "We're about to run the rooftop scene," Elliot said. "Anna, are you ready?" Keanu glanced at her before she could respond, not to speak for her, but to offer support without words. Anna nodded. "Yes," she said. "I'm ready." The room grew quiet as the crew prepared the lights. Someone handed her a prop. Another person adjusted her mic. It all happened quickly. And yet within all the noise, she still felt the weight of silent eyes on her. Eyes that questioned if she belonged, eyes that whispered doubts behind smiles. And somewhere near the makeup counter, she heard a voice. It was soft, but the words were clear. "She doesn't have the intensity for this." Anna didn't turn to look. She knew who it was. It was Mary Sunether. Actress on the set, powerful, confident, and loved by almost everyone. Marissa was never cruel to her face, but she didn't need to be. Her words lived in corners. Her approval came in pieces. Her silence was louder than applause. Anna stood still, gripping her script tighter than she needed to. Keanu saw it. He leaned in. "Breathe," he said gently. She took a breath. "Again," he whispered. She closed her eyes and breathed again. Deeper this time, the assistant director called for quiet. The set was ready. Lights turned white. Cameras rolled into place. "Scene 47, someone called out. "Rooftop, take one," the director shouted. "Action." Anna stepped forward. She stood on the marked spot, wind machines blowing her hair. The cityscape behind her was fake, but in that moment, it felt real. The scene began. Anna looked out over the rooftop, her character full of sorrow and fear. Keanu entered behind her. His footsteps were soft, his presence calm. They exchanged lines. Hers came out soft at first, uncertain, but then something shifted. A word caught fire inside her chest. And when she spoke it, something powerful broke free. Her voice didn't just carry, yet lived. For the first time since the shoot began, the crew didn't blink. No phones moved. No one whispered. Anna was there not just reading lines, but living the pain, the fear, the heartbreak of the character. And when Keanu spoke, his eyes stayed locked on hers. He didn't overact, didn't take control. He gave her space. He lifted her with his presence. When the scene ended, the room stayed still. Then dashed slowly someone, clapped and then another, and then everyone. The sound echoed in the room like a storm of surprise. Anna didn't smile. She didn't cry. She just stood there, heart pounding as if she had woken from a long sleep. But in the corner, Marissa crossed her arms. Her eyes said everything. The applause wasn't for her. The director walked up to Anna. That, he said slowly, was the take. She nodded politely, but inside she wanted to scream. Not from anger, not from fear, from relief. Because for the first time since the project began, she felt like she was enough. But later that night, as she was packing up, someone tapped her shoulder. It was one of the young assistants, maybe 19 or 20. Barely taller than Anna, she said nervously. "I just wanted to say, you inspired me today." Anna turned, surprised. The girl looked down. "I get nervous all the time," she whispered. "And today when I saw you, the way you kept going, ... it helped me." Anna's eyes softened. "What's your name, Julia?" Anna smiled. "Julia, thank you. That means more than you know." Then, as Julia walked away, Anna saw something else, Keanu, leaning against the far wall, watching quietly, not taking credit, not stepping into the light, just watching. And smiling, Anna walked up to him. "You saw?" He nodded. "Double quotes, thank you," she said. He shrugged, then said something she would never forget. "Kindness is louder than applause. I don't always hear it, but it stays longer." And with that, he walked away, leaving her alone again. But this time she didn't feel alone. She felt ... lifted. The photo that shouldn't have gone viral the next morning, Anna woke up early. Her body was tired, but her heart was still racing. The rooftop scene replayed in her mind like a dream, not because of the applause, not even because of the director's praise. It was because something inside her had changed. She had felt invisible for so long, always trying to fit in, always trying to prove she deserved to be there. But last night, for a few precious minutes, she had stopped trying, and just was. She turned on her phone and saw a message from the assistant girl, Julia. "Thank you again. I'll never forget yesterday." Anna smiled and typed a reply, something short and kind. She was about to put her phone down when she saw something strange. Her notification bar had exploded. Hundreds of tags, dozens of messages, more than a few missed calls from her manager, confused. She opened her social media and froze. Someone had taken a photo of Keanu cleaning her shoe. It was from the hallway, yesterday just after the moment. A quiet, sacred moment that was never meant to be seen, and now it was everywhere. The caption read, "He didn't say a word, just cleaned her shoe like it was made of gold." Anna's breath caught in her throat. The post had already gone viral. Hundreds of thousands of likes, comments from all over the world, people calling it the gentlest act of respect ever seen on a film set. Some called Keanu a legend. Others called him a king of humility. But what made Anna tremble wasn't the attention, it was the vulnerability. That moment had been personal, raw, sacred, and now it was content. Just then, her phone rang. It was her manager, Anna, he said, not even greeting her. "We need to talk. This thing is blowing up. People are writing headlines. The studio wants to use it for the marketing campaign. They want to label the movie as a story of real kindness. This could be huge." Anna didn't respond. "Are you okay?" he asked after a pause. "Who took the photo?" she asked softly. "No idea. Maybe one of the crew. Maybe someone backstage. But listen, this is a gift. You and Keanu. You're trending worldwide." Anna ended the call without answering. She sat still on her bed. The photo still open on her screen. In the picture, Keanu was crouched down, gently wiping her shoe. And she looked like a little girl lost in her thoughts. She felt exposed. She also felt grateful and confused. She stepped outside for air. The hotel garden was quiet. Birds were chirping, and a gardener was watering the flowers Anna sat on a bench and closed her eyes. Moments later, she heard footsteps. They were soft, slow, familiar. Keanu sat beside her, holding 2 coffees. "You saw it?" he asked. She nodded. "I'm sorry," he said. "That moment was just for you, not for the world." Anna looked at him, but the world saw it. And now they're writing stories. Keanu smiled faintly. "Let them." She looked away. "I don't like being a symbol." "You're not," he said gently. "You're a mirror. People see themselves in you, in your struggle, in your silence, in your strength." His words settled into her heart like drops of warm rain. "You didn't even think twice," she whispered. "You just cleaned my shoe." He nodded. "Because you were hurting." Anna's eyes welled with tears. That moment, it healed something inside me, she said. Keanu sipped his coffee. "You don't owe anyone your pain, Anna. But if your story helps someone else find their strength, then maybe it was meant to be seen." Just then, Julia, the assistant, walked past. She waved shyly at them. Keanu waved back. Anna smiled and waved too. As Julia disappeared down the path, Keanu turned to Anna again. "You know what I think?" he asked. "What?" "I think the world didn't see your shoe. They saw your courage. And they saw how easy it is to honor someone if you just slow down." Anna sat in silence for a moment, and then she reached into her pocket, pulled out her phone, and posted a message to the world. Yes, the photo is real. Yes, he did it without a word. And no, he didn't know someone was watching. But now that the world has seen its eye, hope it reminds people that quiet kindness still exists. Pressed send, and for the first time in days, she felt peace. Because sometimes the softest voices carry the farthest. The scene she couldn't finish 3 days passed. The photo of Keanu cleaning Anna's shoe was still everywhere. But something had changed. The noise was slowing down. The world was moving on, and as it always does, but inside the studio, tension was rising. The movie's most emotional scene was coming up. It was the one everyone had been waiting for. The scene where Anna's character breaks down in the rain, no makeup, no cuts, just raw emotion. Anna had read the scene over and over. She knew every word, every pause, every breath, but she wasn't ready, not because she was afraid of crying, but because she wasn't sure how to do it in front of so many people, without losing herself. Keanu had already filmed his part of the scene the day before. He had asked to go first. When the director questioned him, he simply said, "I want her to have space, no pressure." No one argued Keanu's single quotes. Scene had been quiet, full of grief and love. When he finished, the room had fallen into silence. Now it was Anna's turn. The rain machine had been tested. The lights were set. The cameras were rolling. She stepped onto the set, wearing a simple white dress. Her eyes were already red, but not from acting, from the fear of failing Elliot. The director called out, "Scene 61. Take 1." The rain poured down from above. Anna stood in the middle of the fake street alone, cold, shaking, and then the first line she opened. Her mouth. But nothing came out. Her lips moved, but the words caught in her throat. "Cut," Elliot called gently. "It's okay. Let's reset." Anna nodded, blinking back tears. Not from the scene, but from herself again. Double quotes, Scene 61. Take 2. The rain fell again. She tried to speak. She tried to feel the words, but all she felt was pressure, eyes watching, expectations pressing down. "Cut," the director said again. "Anna, are you all right?" She nodded, but she wasn't. After the third failed take, someone handed her a towel. Someone else offered her tea, but no one said what she needed to hear, and then Keanu walked onto the set, not in costume, not in character, just in his usual clothes. Quiet, calm. He didn't speak to the director, or to the crew. He walked straight to Anna and placed something in her hand. A small, folded note. He whispered, "Read it after they call action." She looked at him, confused. He just nodded once, then stepped back into the shadows. Elliot called. Again, Scene 61, Take 4. The rain began to fall. Anna stood in place, the note still in her hand. She unfolded it slowly, shielding it from the water. The message was only 3 words. Just be you. Her eyes blurred, and then something broke open inside her. She looked into the rain. For the first time, she didn't act. She didn't perform. She just stood there and let herself feel everything. The fear, the pain, the loneliness, she whispered. Her first line barely audible, but the microphone caught it. Her voice cracked. Her shoulders shook. The tears fell with the rain. The scene lasted 3 minutes, and when it ended, no one spoke. No one moved. Elliot slowly stood from his chair, his face pale. "That was it," he said. That was the scene. Anna looked around. No claps. No cheers, just silence. But not the cold kind. The sacred kind. And when she stepped off the set, Keanu was waiting for her. She held out the note. He didn't take it back. "Keep it," he said, "for when you forget." Anna nodded. She would keep it, not just in her pocket, but in her soul. Because sometimes all you need is 3 simple words from someone who truly sees you. The interview that changed everything the scene had wrapped. Not just that one, but the entire movie. After weeks of filming, laughter, pressure, and quiet moments of heartbreak, it was done. The set was being taken down. Costumes returned. Makeup boxes closed. But something about this film felt different to everyone. The crew talked about it. They didn't say it out loud. Not really, but they felt it. A softness had spread behind the camera. One that started in a hallway, with a shoe, in a moment no one expected to witness. Anna felt it too. She wasn't the same woman who had stood quietly near the makeup room weeks ago. She didn't flinch when someone raised their voice. She didn't lower her eyes when someone doubted her. She had found her ground. And yet, there was one more thing to do. Press day. Endless interviews. Flashing lights. Smiling at people who didn't care about the story. Only the headlines. This time Anna wasn't nervous. She was Curious. The interview was live streamed. Big studio. Polished stage. Chairs too shiny. Fake plants in the background. Anna sat on one side, Keanu on the other, and the host in the middle, smiling sharp, ready to stir the pot. After a few warm-up questions, the host leaned forward. "Keanu," she said, smiling carefully. "Let's talk about the viral photo. The one where you're kneeling, cleaning Anna's shoe. It's being called one of the most humble things a Hollywood star has ever done." Keanu glanced at Anna. She smiled slightly, but stayed silent. Keanu nodded. "I remember the moment, but I didn't know it would become a thing." "But why did you do it?" the host asked. "I mean, most people, especially at your level, don't do that. They don't kneel. They don't serve." Keanu looked straight into the camera. "Because people forget," he said softly, "that we're all human. And kindness isn't about status. It's about presence." The host blinked. She didn't expect that answer. Keanu continued. "Anna didn't need a speech. She didn't need someone to fix her career. She just needed a quiet reminder that she mattered. And sometimes you don't need a mic to do that. It's just a moment." Anna looked at him. Her throat tightened. But the host turned to her. "Anna," she said, "were you embarrassed when it happened?" Anna paused. The question stung. Not because it was rude, but because it came from the world she had tried so hard to belong to. A world that mistook tenderness for weakness. She took a breath. "I was tired," Anna said, "and scared, and I felt invisible." The room grew still. "But when he cleaned my shoe," she said, her voice steady, "I remembered that I wasn't alone, and I wasn't small." The host shifted. Anna continued. "We live in a world that teaches us to stand tall, speak loud, and be bold. But sometimes the strongest thing you can do is kneel beside someone who's hurting. I'm saying nothing." There was silence. Then soft applause from the crew behind the cameras. The host leaned back. "Well, that's definitely going to be the headline." Anna smiled. "I hope not." "Why not?" "'Cause the real headline," Anna said gently, "should be about all the people who show kindness when no one's watching." Keanu nodded. Never ask for credit. The interview ended, but the clip went viral. Again, not for drama, not for scandal, but for something the world had forgotten. It needed quiet respect. That night, Anna and Keanu sat together in the studio's empty garden. No cameras, no questions, just the two of them. Under the soft hum of the garden lights, Anna whispered, "Do you think people will remember this?" Keanu replied, "Some will, and that's enough." Anna leaned back and looked up at the stars. "You changed me," she said. "No," Keanu replied. "You just finally saw yourself?" The letter she never expected months passed. The movie was released, and it wasn't just a hit. It was something else entirely. People didn't just talk about the scenes or the action or the plot. They talked about how it felt, how it made them cry quietly, how it reminded them of someone they had forgotten, how it healed something small and silent inside them. Ana de Armas's performance was called the most human role of the decade. She didn't care about the awards. She didn't care about the box office numbers. She cared about something else, the little letters. They started arriving 2 weeks after the release. One envelope, then two, then 50 handwritten, typed, folded in tiny pieces. It's translated from languages she couldn't even read. They came from everywhere, from nurses, from students, from retired soldiers, from little girls with big dreams. One said, "I was about to quit acting. Then I saw your scene in the rain." Another said, "I've never seen myself on screen until I saw you. Thank you for showing me that being soft isn't the same as being weak." But one letter stood out. It was from a woman named Elena, 83 years old. From Cuba, Anna opened it slowly, her hands shaking before she even read the first line. "Dear Anna, I knew your grandmother. She used to tell me stories about you. She said you were born quiet, but with eyes that held the sky. When I saw you on screen, I cried, not because of the movie, but because I saw the little girl your grandmother always believed would change the world. You did it, Mia, and you did it your way, with grace, silence, and with strength. Anna clutched the letter to her chest. She hadn't thought of her grandmother in so long. But now every piece of this journey felt like it was pointing back to her. She remembered being 10 years old, standing on a balcony in Cuba. Her grandmother brushing her hair and saying, "Don't chase the noise, Anna. Stay kind. The world will hear you when it's ready." And now maybe the world had finally listened. She walked out onto her balcony, in Los Angeles this time. But with the same soft wind, she took out her phone and sent a message. "Keanu, are you free?" He replied seconds later, "Always." That evening, they met again. Same quiet garden. Same 2 cups of coffee. Anna handed him the letter. He read it. Slowly, then looked up. "Your grandmother sounds like someone I would have liked." Anna nodded. "She would have loved you." They sat in silence for a while. Then Keanu reached into his jacket and handed her something. A small, folded piece of paper. She opened it. It was the same note he'd once given her before the rain. Seen, but now there were 3 more words beneath. Just be you. You are enough. Anna stared at it. Tears filled her eyes. I think she whispered, "I finally believe it." Keanu smiled. "Then you've already won." That night, stars looked brighter. But it wasn't the sky that had changed. It was her, and in a world full of loud voices and flashing lights, Ana de Armas had become a quiet force, not by standing taller than others, but by choosing to kneel when someone else needed it most, just like Keanu had once done for her, and now she was ready to do the same for others. Because real kindness never stays silent. It moves, it echoes, and it always, always comes back.